So you have been part of the certification, a very integral part. I want to say thank you for all your support with that. And what was the main reason that you decided to join the certification, and especially this one, because there's a lot of different human design trainings out there?
Yeah, so this one was a complete no-brainer when I came across it because I had just had a longer reading done, but in the tropical system. And then I think it could have gone like either way, right? This other course, it looked really interesting and it looked very comprehensive. And I thought, okay, it felt meaty, I guess, in that sense. But there was just something that wasn't sitting right, you know? So I kind of left it. And then I had watched an interview with David, and he had mentioned you. And then I was like, oh, I need to find Annalena, but I couldn't find you. And then my friend, a few days later, sent me a message with a link to your Instagram. And she said, oh, Nick, have you heard of Annalena? I think you'd like her. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is a woman. And then it just so happened at that exact time is when you were sharing that you were basically launching this certification, right? And yeah, I just saw it and I remember thinking, this is it, you know? So clearly I was already listening to my authority, right? So it was like, yeah, I'm just so glad I waited, basically, though. It really felt meant to be. And then obviously that because it was intuitive, that really, really spoke to me. I really liked the approach. And then I also could see from other posts that you were really interested in true sidereal, which I was also getting into. And now I'm just so deeply into true sidereal in the astrology and also the human design. So yeah, I feel the universe really guided me here, you know?
Hmm. Must
Yeah.
came at the right time.
Yeah.
So, what has been the favorite part of the certification so far?
Oh gosh. Well, obviously the way that you teach human design, I love that so much. And even though I don't know any other way to learn, all I know is that there is the more traditional kind of black and white way. There isn't that multidimensionality and the fluidity and just the more holistic aspect, I think. Yeah, I felt this was the most like beautiful way to start learning about it. And also the beautiful intimate community that's been built from the course. We're just going back and forth with our contemplations and what things mean. And it's just very deep and rich. So that also helps with the learning, right? Because it becomes more alive. Yeah, and I love the calls. So anyone who joins and doesn't join the live calls, you should definitely join the live calls. That's all I can say. They give so much to really be in there in the moment and to be able to ask questions. And yeah, I don't know. I love the entire course. Yeah, and you've weaved in the astrology. I'm really passionate and know that subject deeper. So I just love that there's that weaving in of both of them. So that's super helpful for me. Yeah, it's just everything is like
Yeah.
just so supportive, I feel.
Yeah. What are the most important internal, psychological, spiritual, or emotional shifts that you have been experiencing during this certification process?
Mm. Ooh. I feel like it's such a deep question. How do I like succinctly answer it? But yeah, I mean, I've already started doing readings and, they have seemingly been helpful for people, but it's also helping me so much, like with my own journey and discovering more about myself and just how multidimensional we are, I guess. We're not just any one thing. One of the things that I love that you've kind of hammered into us, but I already felt it from the beginning as well, is that we are all the signs, and we are all the gates, and we are all the channels, and all the types. And now that I'm following the transits that are happening, right? Currently, the sun is in gate 40, and like, some of the gates, like 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really what I'm thinking about right now. It was so, and it's this how we really are a part of nature and the energies are actually alive. If you stop and just pay attention, you realize actually how present it is, right? And I just feel like if this was just introduced, at a younger age, you would already start asking yourself these bigger questions. Because at the end of the day, I think, the question is, what am I here to do, right? And we all have a life purpose. We all have gifts, but we're not always, living them. And then we don't have time or we don't have the circumstance to do it, right? But if you are able to do this much younger, gosh, I can only imagine.
One of the big intentions of the program is to help you become really confident to do human design readings and also connected with, in your case, you are very big into astrology. And do you feel like that you're much more confident in that space and also with your overall purpose and the work that you're doing in the world?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I know that this is like the rest of my life in some way, shape, or form. I've always been drawn to astrology as a child. So now, the inner child is just joyous that I'm finally listening. Of course, I would be drawn to something like human design as well, because it has all these beautiful ancient teachings as a base for it, So yeah, definitely more confident. And recently, I did talk recently about the astrology and human design, where I was introducing it on a very beginner level, right? And that was really good for me to do because, and it also showed me when I was preparing the presentation that, wow, I actually know more than I realized, especially human design, because human design, like I said, is something that I didn't know so much about until I joined the certification, right? So it really is knowledge that I have gained from your teachings.
Now, if somebody is watching this right now and they feel a strong pull to join the certification, what would you tell them?
Well, if your body is telling you something and it feels good, it feels expansive, and you don't know why, listen to it. Do it. Just do it, because that is something in your chart or in your design already saying, this is for you, right? And yeah, if you're interested in self-development, in understanding yourself better, because when you do that, we can connect better with others, I feel as well. Then this is, yeah, it's a no-brainer. And especially if you like a different approach to human design, your approach is quite unique still. And I feel that we need more intuitive human design guides out there in the world. So the more who can be taught, the better. Yeah, you have the answer and you will know. You'll know if this is right for you. There is one thing I will say. So for anyone who decides to do the course and then maybe halfway through the course, you'll remember that I said this, but at some point you just have to do the reading. You just have to do them. Like your mind is going to be like, no, I don't know enough. No, I'm not ready. But the only way to get good at readings is by doing them. So if you're joining it because you want to work with it and do readings for people, I hope you remember this, because I had to do this for myself. I kept stalling and I knew that, nope, I just got to jump in the deep end and do it. And yeah, it wasn't as scary, and it was exactly the added learning to this course. So
I
yeah.
love it. Thank you so much, Nick. I really appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.